she stepped up as my wife and handled that. And there's been many times where I've been at my lowest, and she's always been the strongest to get me back up to like, get back out there. You gotta get back out there and do what you do. Don't worry about what's happening over here.
It began as a quiet whisper behind velvet ropes before spreading through every corner of Los Angeles. The story wasn't just that Snoop Dogg had a grudge against Sean Diddy Combs, but that he was the one who helped take him down. When the FBI moved on Diddy in late 2024, insiders claimed it wasn't coincidence, it was payback. And what fueled that revenge wasn't greed or ambition, but betrayal of the one thing Snoop had always sworn to protect above all else: his wife, Shante Broadus. By the time Diddy was arrested on September 16, 2024, the two icons hadn't spoken for months. Insiders now say their relationship collapsed when Snoop uncovered what he believed to be the ultimate betrayal, that Diddy had been secretly involved with Shante for years during the extravagant private parties that later became central to federal investigations. When Diddy was convicted in November 2025 and sentenced to just over 4 years, people wondered how prosecutors had gotten such intimate details about those gatherings. The theory now is that Snoop handed them the map. 4 years, the two men ran in the same circles, their legacies tied to hip-hop's golden era. But behind the brotherhood was an unspoken rivalry. Snoop built his brand on loyalty and authenticity, Diddy built his on control and spectacle. When federal charges of racketeering and transporting women for what prosecutors called degrading encounters exploded, Snoop's alleged cooperation turned whispers into indictments, reshaping the narrative of power, betrayal, and survival.
Well, she's just a strong black woman, off the tippy.
But this story doesn't start in a courtroom, it starts with a love story. Shante Broadus, born and raised in Long Beach, met Calvin Broadus long before the world knew him as Snoop Dogg. They were teenagers at Long Beach Polytechnic High, went to prom together, and tied the knot in June 1997. Across nearly 30 years, they became one of hip-hop's rare constants, a marriage that survived fame, fortune, and temptation. Shante was there through it all, when Snoop went from local rapper to global icon, when Death Row Records collapsed, and when he reinvented himself as a family man and mogul. In 2021, she officially became his manager, taking charge of his cannabis line, gaming brand, and TV projects. Snoop often said she was his final gut check, the last person he listened to before making any move.
You see, Snoop Dogg saying he owns Death Row is no different than me saying Tupac was alive because I had the unreleased Tupac music. It ain't no.
That's what made the alleged betrayal so explosive. According to insiders, Snoop's world began to crack early in 2024 when Suge Knight, speaking from prison through his new podcast Collect Call, started taunting him. In February, Knight posted a photo of Shante in Hawaii with another man, writing, "I'll pray your wife stops going to Hawaii with other men." The jab came just after Snoop had publicly written, "I'm praying for that brother to find peace." Within hours, Knight's comments section erupted with speculation. Some dismissed it as a bitter man seeking attention, while others believed Knight knew exactly which nerve to hit. Behind closed doors, Snoop reportedly grew cold and distant. Then, only weeks later, federal agents raided Diddy's homes in Los Angeles and Miami in a widening probe into coercion and exploitation. Cassie Ventura's earlier lawsuit had already detailed disturbing freak-off events involving humiliation and control. During the 2025 trial, witnesses confirmed that major celebrities were in attendance. What remained a mystery was how investigators had obtained the names, footage, and financial records until now.
Gatherings.
Same kind of extortion that we heard when Cassie took the stand and testified on that airplane ride back from France. Diddy said, "You don't do a freak-off, I'm going to release one of the freak-off videos that you are profiled in and humiliate you."
The clues pointed toward Snoop. He had attended Diddy's exclusive parties before but kept his distance after 2020, when friction began to rise between their circles. Those close to him say Snoop had grown protective of his public image and even more protective of Shante's. He had weathered lawsuits, rumors, and gossip before, but through it all, Shante had been his foundation. By late 2023, she was managing his NBC commitments and growing their Broadus collection brand. Learning that someone he once called a friend may have crossed the line was, as one associate put it, beyond forgiveness. Insiders trace the turning point to early 2024, right after Suge Knight's Hawaii post reignited old wounds. Publicly, Snoop stayed calm, but behind the scenes, he was furious. Soon after, reports surfaced that federal agents had reached out to a prominent West Coast figure for inside information on Diddy's social network. When Diddy was arrested months later, that unnamed source, described as a veteran rapper-turned-businessman, left little doubt in the minds of those reading between the lines. But this wasn't just vengeance. It was a matter of survival. The investigation threatened to expose dozens of celebrities. Some say Snoop cooperated to protect his family before the fallout hit home.
The turmoil and the stuff that I put her through in my journey on becoming successful, because I had no understanding of what I was doing her, how I was hurt.
Meanwhile, public sympathy shifted toward Shantae. For nearly 3 decades, she'd quietly balanced loyalty and independence, often serving as the backbone of Snoop's success. He once called her the good to my bad, but by early 2025, that image of unity began to fracture. Photos of Shantae at events alone, paired with cryptic captions about trust, fueled rumors that the marriage had been shaky long before the Diddy fallout. Suge Knight's podcast only added to the fire, hinting that the lady of the house wasn't always home. In that climate, Snoop's silence spoke volumes. During Diddy's trial, he made just one brief public appearance, refusing to answer any questions. Behind the scenes, prosecutors cited third-party communications that matched witness accounts of Diddy's events, communications allegedly provided by a respected veteran in the industry. Insiders claimed the files contained venue names, guest lists, and timestamps dating back nearly a decade. Now, with Diddy serving his 4-year sentence at MDC Brooklyn, whispers say Snoop is quietly celebrating. But his victory might come at a price. Beneath Diddy's downfall lies another mystery. If Snoop acted to protect his wife, why are there murmurs that he, too, has something to hide?
Imagined.
When you get to be the age that we are and you get to become as successful as we are, you have to start doing some things that matter.
As the investigation deepened, it became clear that Snoop's actions might not have been pure revenge, but part of a larger strategy to protect his legacy. When he purchased Death Row Records in 2023, it seemed like a triumphant full-circle moment. But from his prison cell, Suge Knight saw theft, not triumph. He accused Snoop of manipulating legal loopholes to snatch the label out from under him. What stood out was how quickly the acquisition was finalized, and how fast Snoop turned Death Row into a digital, family-friendly empire. For a man once accused of glorifying street life, it looked like the perfect redemption arc, unless, of course, that redemption came at someone else's cost. Some insiders believe Snoop's cooperation with prosecutors against Diddy was designed to protect Death Row from becoming the next target. Investigators on Diddy's case were already monitoring other entertainment companies for suspicious finances. By positioning himself as an ally, Snoop could shield both his freedom and his brand. It was a CEO's playbook executed by a rapper, a power move that cemented him not just as a survivor of hip-hop, but as one of its most calculating architects.
Your wife's been by you for your whole
She's your high
career.
school
Your high school sweetheart. She is.
You never leave home without it.
Yeah, that's right. But how has she kind of taken you on this journey? Tell us about her.
I think my wife has been my best friend for a couple of reasons. One is that she always understood who I was and who I needed to be.
At the center of it all stands Shantae Broadus. To the public, she looked like the loyal wife blindsided by betrayal. But inside the Broadus camp, she was much more the architect behind many of Snoop's biggest business decisions. As his official manager since 2021, she reportedly pushed for the Death Row purchase, rejected OnlyFans offers, and steered his focus toward television and major endorsements. When the Diddy scandal began brewing, insiders say Shantae advised Snoop to separate himself legally and morally from anything tied to Combs' world. That phrase feels heavier in hindsight. Did she already know what was coming? Was she protecting her husband or preparing a controlled takedown? Some claim Shantae was directly involved in gathering evidence. A former assistant alleged that throughout 2024, files and phone data were quietly compiled, including communications from Diddy's event organizers. If true, it would mean Shantae wasn't just the betrayed, she was also the strategist behind Diddy's downfall. The victim turned tactician, that's the twist keeping this saga alive.
A lot of times you have him with a younger female. There's a power dynamic there. A more impressionable girl is easier to reel in. Consent is between the people that are engaging, and I wasn't there in these situations to understand that.
The case against Diddy wasn't built solely on Cassie Ventura's lawsuit. It was reinforced by overlapping testimonies, timestamps, and surveillance logs spanning almost a decade. Some of those events took place in West Coast properties linked to Snoop's broader network. Coincidence or careful planning? In 2022, Snoop bought one of those same properties through a holding company. The timing raised eyebrows, hinting that he might have been detaching himself before the storm hit. Meanwhile, Suge Knight used his podcast to fan the flames, teasing a tell-all book he said would expose who really sold out who. He claimed Snoop's rise from death row artist to mogul came through backroom deals with corporate power players. At first, most brushed off his claims as prison bitterness. But when agents started subpoenaing financial documents from old death row affiliates, Knight's rants began to sound more like insider knowledge than wild talk. If that book ever sees daylight, it could shake hip-hop's foundations again.
To modern hip-hop.
Tick tock, the clock is ticking on Diddy, because on Friday he finds out what his sentence is going to be, but today he found out what prosecutors would like that sentence to be, and it is vastly different from what his attorneys have suggested to the judge. Prosecutors want him to do 11 years.
Over more than a decade, Snoop quietly expanded his empire while Diddy's world fell apart in plain sight. By his sentencing in late 2025, the once glamorous mogul looked worn down, admitting in court, "I got lost in excess." That single line summed up decades of indulgence and domination. Prosecutors described a man who wielded power and fear to maintain loyalty, using influence like a weapon. His 4-year sentence may have seemed light, but the symbolic fall was monumental. The man who once ruled luxury and music now wakes up in an 8x10 cell in Brooklyn. Meanwhile, Snoop sits atop a thriving brand empire that stretches from music to gaming to entertainment. The contrast is striking, one fallen king, one untouchable survivor. But the industry still wonders, did Snoop outsmart the system or simply learn how to play it better than anyone else?
Diddy, obviously just starting out his time, well, not just starting out, but starting out his official sentence since being sentenced not too long ago. And I think suffice to say it's not going well so far.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I mean, he's got 4 years and change that he's going to ultimately have to serve, although he has served already a year as he awaited his trial and then went through.
Still, the whispers won't die down. Reports suggest Diddy, even behind bars, has been reaching out to journalists, offering new names in exchange for leniency. If those names connect to Snoop's inner circle, this saga could reignite with devastating force. At the same time, Shantae's upcoming memoir, Paid the Cost to Be the Boss Lady, promises to reveal the lessons she's learned living beside fame. Whether she mentions Diddy or not, the release feels deliberate. One carefully worded chapter could either silence the rumors or confirm them. Insiders say Snoop's cooperation with federal agents may go beyond the Diddy case. The FBI's Entertainment Crimes Division reportedly continues probing others who attended the same events. If Snoop stays involved, the next wave of revelations might already be in motion. As one label exec put it, if he helped them once, he can help them again. That quiet fear is reshaping the industry, as artists step back from both camps, wary of being the next name exposed.
Well, we all know that. I have to say, I'd never heard of this movie, and I have little kids. It was called Lightyear from 2022. I have absolutely no problem with the content. Like, he has a problem with the content in that movie. I have no problem at all. I thought that was presented as a brief history part of this movie. It wasn't a big part of the movie, and gay couples exist, and gay marriage is legal, and I found it all completely unproblematic.
Yet the biggest questions remain unanswered. Did Snoop orchestrate Diddy's fall purely to protect his wife, or to protect his empire? Was Shantae the betrayed or the engineer of it all? Could Suge Knight's claims about the death row takeover be tied to the same network that toppled Diddy? And if Snoop gave the feds what they needed once, who might he give up next? In the world of fame and secrecy, power never dies, it just shifts hands. This story feels far from over. Messages remain hidden, testimonies sealed, voices still afraid to speak. Diddy's conviction might have closed one chapter, but the book is still wide open. When the truth finally surfaces, will Snoop still be the hero or the next name in the headlines? Let us know what you think, because in this game, loyalty is currency, and somebody's running out. Until next time, keep watching, this storm is far from over.